Hi guys, Alicia Cross with Alicia Cross Training here. And if you're not already, make sure you like my Facebook page, Alicia Cross Training, so you can see these videos when they come out live, or you can watch them anytime. So if you're joining me live, thank you. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments. And if you are watching the replay later, just post a comment or a question anytime and I will respond to you. So I am a personal trainer, a wellness coach, and a yoga instructor. And so today I'm going to talk to you about yoga, and specifically about taking your yoga off of the mat. We've all seen hashtag yoga every damn day. Well, that does not mean, nor does it have to mean, doing a physical practice or doing poses every day, because that could be a lot to ask of yourself. So there are other ways that you can take this practice that you love, this yoga practice, and live it off of the mat, bring it into your daily life. And ultimately that is the goal. It's not about this hour that we spend on the mat, how many ever times we're getting there. It really is about shaping our life so we can be happier and healthier, more fulfilled, and make a bigger contribution to this world. So let's start with the 8 limbs of yoga, Patanjali's 8 limbs of yoga. So the first is the yamas, and the second is the niyamas. Third is asana or poses. Fourth is pranayama, this is breath practice. Fifth is pratyahara, withdrawal of the senses. 6 is dharana, focus, concentration. 7 is dhyana, meditation. And 8 is samadhi or nirvana. So everything that happens on the mat, from the poses to the breath to the meditation, that all falls under Hatha Yoga. So Hatha Yoga has come to mean, here in the West, it's come to mean a practice maybe other than vinyasa, other than flow. But it's important to know that vinyasa, flow, is just a subcategory of Hatha Yoga. Hatha is anything you do on the mat, from poses to meditation to breath work. That's all Hatha Yoga. So what happens off of the mat are those first 2 limbs, the yamas and the niyamas. So if you think about it, we have these 8 limbs, and one of those limbs is poses. So you could say that 1/8 of your yoga practice is poses, but you could break that down even more. There are 10 yamas and niyamas, so that is what, 16 steps in yoga, and so 1/16 of the practice is asana. And if we go back in the text before Patanjali's, there were actually, I believe, 10 each yamas and niyamas, so 1/26 of the practice is poses. So if your practice consists only or mostly of poses, understanding and incorporating the yamas and the niyamas into your life can definitely be a way to really live this yoga practice that you love so much. So we're talking about the yamas and the niyamas today, because this is how we can take our yoga practice off of the mat. And the yamas are kind of the outer practices. So the yamas are truth, non-stealing, non-harming, moderation, non-attachment. So it's kind of how we deal with the world. And I don't know if you know a meditation teacher named Sharon Salzberg, but I believe this was in a book or an interview I heard her talking about. She was kind of one of the original teachers who were traveling to the East in the 60s and bringing these practices here. And she's still a very prominent teacher now. So she was talking about, back in this time, in the 60s and the 70s, the gurus coming here to the States to teach the Americans, quote unquote, enlightenment. And she said that this guru said something about, you Americans are all so interested in getting enlightened, but you don't care about how you treat your neighbor. So this first practice of yoga is really getting your relationship right with the outer world, because if you are not a good person, you can't get into these other practices where you're sitting still on the mat being alone with yourself. So you have to first be, an active, contributing, positive part of society. And then the niyamas, the second limb, these are a little bit more of the internal, the inner work. So the priority is the outer work, about how you're operating in society. So let's break down each of these yamas and the niyamas. So the first yama is ahimsa, non-harming. And it is said that if you can perfect the practice of ahimsa, you don't need to learn any other practice of yoga. That's everything. That's everything you need to know. Ahimsa, non-harming. So this can be non-harming towards, again, the outer world, towards other people, the planet, the environment, other living beings and animals. It can also be practiced internally, non-harming to ourselves. It is definitely present in not only our actions, but our words and our thoughts. And it's important to separate that an ahimsa is not being passive or being inactive. Ahimsa does call for us to stop people if they are harming others, if they are doing harm to others, or if they are doing harm to ourselves. We do need to take action. So that's not what ahimsa is about. But we can practice ahimsa daily towards ourselves, others, the planet, other living beings, that practice of non-harming. The second yama is steya, or truthfulness. And truthfulness is not the same as honesty. If you are being honest, you are repeating what you believe to be true. That is honesty. It means that you are not trying to be deceptive and you're not trying to lie. But if you are being truthful, that is a higher standard because you are only speaking what you know for a fact to be true. So holding ourselves to this higher standard of truthfulness is steya. And maybe you've heard this acronym before. It's THINK, is what I'm about to say: true, helpful, inspiring, necessary, or kind. And again, that ties back to ahimsa. So we do not sacrifice ahimsa for the practice of satya, for truthfulness. So ahimsa is the thread, non-harming, runs through everything, and then satya, truthfulness. And that can be in what we say, and now in our modern society, what we text, email, what we post, anything that we write. And this is also about living your truth, so being authentic and following your path. So that is truthfulness, satya. And then next is asteya, and that is non-stealing. So any of these that start with A, that's the prefix for non, like ahimsa is non-harming and asteya is non-stealing. So and what's interesting is when we have to translate these to non-harming and non-stealing, it's because we, in our language, we don't have a word that represents non-harming and non-stealing. So we just have to put we have to put our own prefix on it of non, because there's not really a positive word that we have that elicits the same feeling. So non-steya, non-stealing. It is said that all of the wealth in the world will be drawn to the one who has mastered the practice of asteya. And remember, wealth doesn't only mean money, whatever makes you feel wealthy. So it could be money and security and abundance, and it could be health and family and friends, positive contribution in the world. So whatever makes you feel wealthy. So non-steya, again, this is meant as a practice with the external world. So of course we are not stealing from other people, and most of us would not even think to take something that wasn't ours from someone else. But we can look at this in a different way, like not stealing time and not stealing from our future selves. So not stealing time is maybe you're not wasting someone's time, you're respecting their time, email etiquette, keeping things short, or not sending unnecessary emails. So that can be a way that you are not stealing someone else's time. And then respecting your own time, respecting your future, your credit, not overextending yourself so that you're stealing your energy from your future self. Charging up your credit cards, so you're stealing from your future self, so it's just going to be a bill that you have to deal with later. Sleep is a huge one. If you're not getting sufficient sleep now, which I'm a huge proponent of sleep, I talk a lot about this, you're stealing your energy from your future self, kind of in the more immediate future, and then in the long future, you're stealing from your future self's health and vitality, because we know that we need sleep to defend against those cognitive declines like Alzheimer's disease. So we need that sleep to protect ourselves in the immediate and the long-term future. So that is a way that we can practice non-stealing towards ourselves. So the fourth one is Brahmacarya, which can be translated as meditation. And a really great quote from Thich Nhat Hanh about Brahmacarya, moderation, is there are some people who eat an orange but don't really eat it. They eat their sorrow, their fear, their anger, their past, and their future. They are not really present with mind and body united. So everything in moderation means that we are fully present with what we are doing. If we're fully present with what we're doing in the moment, like eating a delicious dessert or eating our meal, we are going to appreciate what we're eating, and we're not going to be going back mindlessly eating more, taking seconds, or mindlessly eating an entire bag of chips, watching television. So staying present with what we are doing, or staying present with the person we are with, is how we're able to not overindulge, because we've enjoyed that experience. It's not like it never even happened. We were present for it. So staying fully present in the moment with whatever it is we're doing, we're eating, who we're with, that is a way that we can practice Brahmacarya moderation. And then the last of the yamas is aparigraha, and this is non-attachment. So non-attachment is not like being indifferent or not caring. Non-attachment is a healthy way to exist. So we can think about maybe some unhealthy attachments that we have or have had or have seen. Hoarding is an example of an unhealthy attachment. So yes, we want to care about our possessions. We want to take care of our things, our home. But if we get obsessive about it, then we can turn into a hoarder. And there's a quote from Deborah Adele, what we try to possess possesses us. So again, you can see just the illness that could cause in our mind and our body if we are overly attached to things or people. So getting really clingy and attached, maybe to the point that we have unhealthy relationships with people. So our non-attachment doesn't mean that we don't care or that we wouldn't be sad if we lost these things, but we know that they're impermanent. And when we know that something is impermanent, we can appreciate it more. Knowing that our health or this relationship or whatever situation we're enjoying right now, it's not guaranteed. That will allow us to be present with it, just like in our Brahmacharya, and to appreciate that time we have with the person, to take care of our health because we know our health isn't guaranteed, to take care of our home because we never know what could happen. So that practice of non-attachment is just accepting, everything as it is, and not trying to hold on to it because we're afraid of losing it. So those are the 5 yamas. So that was non-harming, truthfulness, non-stealing, moderation, and non-attachment. And so now the niyamas, which are meant to be a little more of an internal practice. And the first one is Salcha, and that gets translated as cleanliness or purification. And this could definitely just be a matter of, keeping your body clean, keeping your home clean. But it's really about separation of energy. So a great example is you would not, if you were out for coffee with your friend, you would not drop down and start doing burpees. So when you're at the gym, try not to be playing on your phone and on social media and texting people. So just like Brahmacharya, staying present in what it is we're doing, Salcha is keeping energies separate. This means not eating in bed, not working at the dining room table, really having a place to sit down and work, a place to eat, a place to rest, so that there are boundaries. And we can really see how these ancient practices can lead us towards a more healthy and balanced life right now. Like how many of us are sitting in front of the TV and mindlessly eating, or we're working in bed and missing out on sleep, or we're just not present for whatever it is that we're doing or who we're with. So this practice of Salcha is about keeping everything separate. There's a quote from Benjamin Franklin that I like, a place for everything and everything in its place. And that could mean literally like in your house, everything clean and put away, which I love. I'm very tidy. But again, it's that time and place for everything. So, and not letting those things bleed into each other. So there's a time when work ends. There's a time for exercise. There's a time for rest. And that is how we can apply Salcha, cleanliness, purification to our life. And as a yoga instructor, I'll throw in, it's also about, keeping, if you're using mats and props at the studio, you keep those clean. You clean them off after you use them, and you put them away. You put them away where they belong. So that is a way that we can practice Salcha in our yoga practice, especially if we're practicing at a studio. Okay, so the next niyama is Santosha, or contentment. And a quote that I love for this one is, happiness is not having what you want, it's wanting what you have. So this practice absolutely starts with gratitude. Being thankful for all the many blessings that we have in our life. And that can be as simple as before you go to bed at night, you're just mentally running through a gratitude list, or you are journaling, which is what I do, writing down what you're grateful for. And if you know Sean Achor, the positive psychology guy, he talks about some studies on this. The things that you're grateful for, they need to be new every day. You can't just run through the same list. Oh, my house, my family, my job, my career, yada, yada, yada. To really make those changes in the brain, we've got to find new things every day that we're grateful for. And you can do this. You know, right now the sun is shining. That's something that we can be grateful for. The coffee that we had this morning, the delicious breakfast that we got to sit down and eat, lunch with a friend, that person who let me over in traffic. Like, continuing to look for those positives every day in our life that we can be grateful for, that's what starts to rewire our brain. And our brain's like, hey, yeah, my life's pretty good. My life's not that bad. And that is santosha, that is contentment. And there's also been some studies to show that you're going to be a lot better off if you say you're going to write a list of 3 to 5 things than if you say you're going to write a list of 12 things. And why is that? Well, because if you can easily write down 3 to 5 things you're grateful for, yeah, you get the message. My life is good. I have things to be grateful for. But as you start writing and it becomes harder and harder to think of those last, 2, 3, 4 things that you're grateful for, that's kind of the last, taste that's left in your mouth, is that you are struggling to remember something you're grateful for. So you want to quit while you're ahead. So don't give yourself a big number to aim for. 3 to 5 things, that's all you need to do. Jot them down or run through them in your mind at night of things that you're grateful for. And that will lead you to santosha, contentment. Okay, so the next one is tapas, self-discipline. And this literally translates to heat. And this is about transformation. So I talk a lot about transformation in Ayurveda. So in Ayurveda, the tapas, the heat, is the tejas, the fire, the fires of transformation. It's our digestive flames, our agnis. There's lots of different words for this fire that all means transformation. Just as we need to, put dough in a hot oven to transform it to bread, we need to heat up metal and glass to shape it. We need heat to transform things. And in our life, that is about being uncomfortable. That's what the heat is. And one of my top favorite quotes is from Aristotle: through discipline comes freedom. So tapas is that discipline that ultimately brings us freedom. If I have that disciplined routine of exercising, of eating healthy, that's going to be the freedom in my life, that I'm not in the hospital or on prescription medication with a bunch of side effects. So it's that discipline in my life that is leading towards freedom, and you can experience that too. Discipline does not mean that you are not happy and you don't have freedom. That is giving you more freedom. And that is something that you will experience for yourself as you incorporate this practice of tapas. And it's about getting out of your comfort zone. So whatever that is for you, it doesn't look the same for everybody. If you are an early riser, maybe tapas means that you're allowing yourself to sleep in. If you are not a morning person, tapas could be getting up early to get your routine done before you're off for your day. So finding what is the discipline that you want to incorporate into your life that will allow for those positive changes that you want to see. So it does come through discipline, and that is not meaning that we have a restrictive or an unhappy life. It's through that self-discipline that we find freedom. All right, and then the second to the last one is svadhyaya, self-study. And a quote for this one is, if you want to study yourself, look into the hearts of other people. If you want to study other people, look into your own heart. So as you take this time, self-study, whether that's reflecting or reading, it can really help to give you a better understanding of yourself and others around you. A great example of this is if you are learning about Ayurveda and the doshas. As you learn about what your dosha is, your constitution, and you learn about that dosha, it can really help you see, oh, that's why I do that. That's why this happens when I get upset, or that's why my stomach gets upset when I eat that food. So you'll be able to learn more about yourself through this study of the doshas, or maybe you are, anything that you're studying or learning about could be psychology, any kind of personality quiz, any kind of spiritual study, anything that really helps to give you some insight into yourself. This is self-study. It comes through reading, through meditation, through reflecting, and ultimately that does also allow us to understand other people. Maybe we won't be so harsh to so quick to judge other people harshly if we can understand this is their type, this is their nature, this is how they deal with things. And that definitely will improve our happiness. It'll improve our interactions with people if we kind of understand others and ourselves. And this self-study is important because this is cultivating your longest and most important relationship you'll ever have, the one with yourself. If that is not right, nothing else will work. So it's through this practice of svadhyaya, self-study, that we're able to find that big thing, that big part of our life. So we have our personal life, our professional life. We also have our inner life, and this is what this self-study is about. Okay, then the last of the niyamas is Ishvara Pranidhana, which is surrender. So this is another one of my top favorite sayings. It's a Buddhist saying. Act always as if the future of the universe depends on what you did, while laughing at yourself for thinking that whatever you do makes any difference. And this is really what I try to live by. I believe that life is like a GPS. We all have a destination. We all have a place that we're going. You can call that your agreement with the universe, your contract with the universe, your destiny, whatever you want to call that. I believe that we all have that. And whatever route we take to get there, our life, like GPS, is always recalculating. It's always getting us to that destination, that place we're meant to be. We may take the long route, we may take a shortcut, we may take a bumpy road, we may take a detour, but we're always going to get where we're going. And this practice of surrender does not mean that you are a fatalist, or nothing I do matters, or you just give up and be lazy. Having this faith and this trust that you are going somewhere, it allows you to put down a little bit of the pressure so you can deal with what's right in front of you. And this really helps me. The first place that I really incorporated this into my life was when I was becoming a full-time trainer, and I was super nervous about taking the certification exam. And I had to study for that, prepare for that. And I did that on my own. I did not take any classes or courses. I did all self-study. So I really had to put, my fear and my anxiety aside so that I could focus on what was at hand. So I trusted that this was what I was meant to do. This was, in my future, and I could put my fear and my anxiety aside so I could focus on what was at hand. I could give all my attention and energy into studying so that I could pass my exam, which of course I did. And that's how I apply this in my life. I know that what is meant to be will happen. That does not mean that I let go of the steering wheel. I still need to drive. I still need to follow the route that I am on. And what really is refreshing for me is this idea that in the long run, it doesn't matter. And again, if this depresses you and doesn't work for you, then find a philosophy that does. But it helps me when I feel overwhelmed with, I need to send this email, taxes were just due. Think of all the little things in our life that cause us so much stress. If I can step away from that for a moment and say, you know what, this really doesn't matter in the long run. And I like the analogy of comparing the 13 billion year history of our universe to 1 year, a single year on a calendar. And we really just arrived on the scene in like the last minute. So we are, as one of my clients says, a speck of dust. We are a speck of dust. On my lock screen on my phone, I have that picture of the planet, the picture of Earth. And that just helps remind me that this stuff that I am so upset about in the moment, it's really insignificant in the big picture. Again, if this doesn't make you feel good, find a philosophy that does, but this is what works for me. And again, this does not mean that I don't send that email, but could I send the email with a little less stress on my mind and in my heart? Yes, that's the life that I want to live. So this is the philosophy that I have. And when I lose that and I forget it, I just keep coming back to the big picture, and it is so much bigger than me and my life, and that is for me the practice of surrender. So to review the last 5 niyamas that were about our outer life, our inner life, our Salcha, cleanliness, Santosha, contentment, Tapas, self-discipline, Svadhyaya, self-study, and Ishvara, Pranidhana, surrender. So if you are looking for ways to incorporate more yoga, the practice that you love, into your life, it does not have to be a physical practice on the mat every day. You can incorporate these yamas and these niyamas into your daily life. And one way is to just start reading about them. That is the practice of Svadhyaya. So I will put in the comments a link to a book, The Yamas and the Niyamas by Deborah Adele. And that is a way that you can really start to dig deeper into these practices. And of course, they are absolutely supported by your physical practice, your asana, your time on the mat, and your breath work. And that can happen on your own. And it is really refreshing and encouraging and supportive to be in a class, especially a class that is, weaving in these themes, whether specifically talking about them or just kind of working that philosophy into the structure of and the teachings in the class. And that is absolutely what I strive to do in my classes. So if you are looking for a more structured asana practice that is going to support and encourage your practice of living a yogic lifestyle off of the mat, I will put also in the comments a link to sign up for my classes at the Metta Center in Burke. I have Tuesday night, 5:30, Stretch and De-Stress, which is a very gentle meditative practice. The stretches can be as deep or as gentle as you would like, just whatever your goal is for that class. I have my Thursday, 12 p.m. chair yoga class. This is a class that is all in the chair. So if getting up and down off of the floor is not awesome for you, if you think you're one of those people who cannot practice yoga because of any physical restrictions, this is a great class for you. Even if you are just needing more of the mental focus, the meditation, the breath work, this is a great place to be. That is the focus of this class. And then of course my Saturday 12 p.m. slow flow, and this is where we are moving, we are flowing, which remember is still, it's a vinyasa class, but it still falls under that Hatha Yoga umbrella. And there's all levels there. I offer variations, modifications, and really encourage you to get the practice you need for your self-care time on the mat. So I'll put a link to sign up for those classes. And if you have any questions about the physical practice, any of the 8 limbs of yoga, or the yamas and the niyamas, post it in the comments. Let's start a conversation about living our yoga off of the mat. All right, guys, that is it for today, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.